All right, book review time. Today's book of the day, I Am Word, A Guide to the Consciousness of Man's Self in a Transitioning Time, a channeled text by Paul Selig. And this is the second book by Paul Selig I've read and going to review. The first one was the Book of Mastery. And when comparing the two books, just first off, I enjoyed the Book of Mastery a little more, but I enjoyed both of these books a lot. Tentative rating that I'm going to give to this is a 9.2. It was great. And just, I'll read a little from the front cover, from the little slip. And it says, in this breakthrough work of channeled literature, writer and medium Paul Selig records an extraordinary program for self-realization as dispensed by higher beings of intelligence, sometimes called guides or ascended masters. These figures seek, as they have in the past, to assist men and women in discovering the higher purposeful nature, or Christ itself, that lies dormant within us all. And just from reading this book, anybody could really tell from just reading a couple words that this isn't really written by like a human. Like Paul Selig is the one channeling it. And I know that sounds crazy just off the bat to think about, because I never used to believe in like channeled text or coming from like a higher source or something, but it became very clear to me by reading these books from Paul Selig that the knowledge is coming from a higher source, a higher frequency. They call themselves ascended masters, the guides. Paul doesn't really like to use that term because he thinks it's kind of like an ego base, but it really isn't, because the knowledge that's coming through is so useful, so helpful, so extraordinary, just not your normal book. And I Am the Word, it's a very interesting title. Didn't really make sense to me at first, and it becomes clear that basically what they call the Word is the Christ vibration, the Christ frequency that's manifest in man. And they basically, and this is also, when you say like the Christ, they mention this a lot, that it has nothing to do with religion, it has nothing to do with Christianity. Anybody from any single religion, any gender, any race, everybody has this in common. That's everybody's true essential nature, is to be the Word, is to be the Christ manifest in man, in human, and to be in form. And I wrote down a couple of quotes from the text that I really enjoyed that kind of put it all together for me, and I'd like to share that now. And one, this is from page 21, says, the Christ within you is a frequency that is aligned within the heart center and glows like a flame, and it brings to it that vibration frequency that co-resonates with it. And that which it begins to bring to co-resonance is the Creator. If you understand that your light is a piece of the great light, then you have the beginning of the understanding of your Christ itself. If you understand that this light, in its blooming, in its flame, in its action, is the action of the Christ within man, you have a deeper understanding. If you begin to understand that the action of the Christ once and for all is to become realized as man in completeness, then you have the mystery of the Christ revealed to you. And part of the thing, so this book was written about 10 or 11 years ago in 2009, and it's just so, obviously only about 10 years have passed, but it's so relevant in today's time. Again, the subtitle of the book is A Guide to the Consciousness of Man's Self in a Transitioning Time. And this book talks about how we're going through this transition where this kind of higher frequency, higher consciousness is coming, that it sounds very like weird and kind of like woo-woo, but it's really what's happening, in that this change is happening to everybody, whether you know it's happening or not. But this book basically gives you context, it gives you definitions and ways to work with it intentionally, purposefully. And one of the things they talk about is kind of likening it to a storm, and not some type of storm that you could be fearful for or fearful of, but basically a storm in that you're going to be going through the storm no matter what, and it's whether you're going through it and kind of knowing what's happening and knowing that it's for your own evolution, your own self-love, finding peace, finding that you are the Word, and embodying that kind of Christ frequency, Christ consciousness in man, or whether you just kind of want to let it all happen and think that it's happening against you, not for your higher purpose. One of the things I really enjoyed about this book was they had a chapter called Trials, which is basically talking about how we all have different trials, different events that are basically here to test us, and whether we don't we don't always look about things. One of the things they mentioned is losing your job, or things that you could, or getting evicted. That was a very extreme example, but things that you might not think about being very good. But if you don't let the fear really take over your decision making process and kind of elevate to a higher level and view these kind of things happening to you in love, you can really use them to then further your evolution, to then further this anchoring of the Christ, the Word in yourself. And I'll share one more quote, or two more quotes from the same page. And these are basically affirmations. So when I was reading this book, it took me a while to read this book because I would read like a couple pages and then just meditate, because I realized the quicker I tried to get through it, the less I really kind of embodied it. And I also have like three more of these books that I want to read, and they're amazing, but I definitely want to take my time with them and really try to get the most out of it and try to basically do these affirmations and these lessons. So one of them is, I am now in dominion over my thinking. I am now realizing myself fully as the one in control of my thinking. I am now choosing to think only those thoughts that will bring me benefit and anchor in this new way of thinking fully into my consciousness. I am Word through this intention, Word, I am Word. And that's on page 51. And that's a big thing about it, is that we don't think that we're in control of our thinking. We think that our thoughts are something that are happening to us. And that might be so at a lower level. But when you're kind of at a higher level of consciousness or whatever, or a higher frequency, where everything is kind of showering down from, everything is originating from this level of love, you realize that you have a lot more control over the things that you think that are happening to you. Another one of the big things that they mention in this book is that you think that everything is happening to you, but at a deeper level, you're creating it. You're in co-creation with everything in existence. You are resonating with it. It might be tough to think about, but it's also a big eye-opener to think, all right, I manifested whatever is going on in my life right now. What can I learn from it? And I'll share one more quote before I'll end this book review. And this is from the next page, page 52. I am now choosing to think only those thoughts which will bring me peace and will align me to a higher consciousness. I am doing this easily and through my own intention to know myself as Word. Word, I am Word through this intention. Word, I am Word. Word, I am Word. Indeed, I Am the Word by Paul Selig, a channeled text. Honestly amazing. I can't wait to read the next book. The next one I'm reading is the Book of Love and Creation, but this book I'm pretty sure was like 12 or 13 bucks, 300 so pages. It was a very good read for me. I really enjoyed it. If you've ever read this book, please let me know what you think about it. I'd love to discuss it. And that's it for today's book review. Thank you. Have a great day.